He first entered Parliament in 1992. Then in 1999 he became the first Asian-born person to enter the European Parliament. He is very appropriate to be on this panel since he deals with the foreign aspect in the European Parliament. He is a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee. He is the coordinator of the Committee on Overseas Development. And he is a person who is well versed in the Sri Lankan situation. Ladies and gentlemen, to present the view of the European Parliament on the Sri Lankan situation, it is my pleasure to invite the Honourable Nirj Deva.
Mr. President, Mr. Chairman, Honourable Minister, friends, ladies and gentlemen, my friend, the Chairman of the Association, is an optimist. I am a member of the European Parliament till Sunday night. At 9:30 I will know whether I continue to be a member of the European Parliament or not. We've just done a massive campaign. I've walked about 500 miles, importuned about 10,000 to 20,000 people and disturbed their peace and asked their votes, and hundreds of thousands of people have voted yesterday to see how they want themselves to be governed. The European Parliament now makes 80% of the laws for this country. Those laws and regulations are started in the EU and transposed to the national legislation. They come from there to Lanka. I want to talk today about the Sri Lankan conflict, reconstruction in a wider context. Sometimes easy for us, and easy for me, I'm a girl naturally, to look at the problems of my country to which I was born and which I love in a very close way without seeing the wider context of what it means in the current political situation around the world. I do so at a time when President Obama yesterday took the bull literally by the horns and made an extraordinary speech in Cairo about the Middle East conflict and the Israeli-Muslim Arab issue, and also about global terrorism. About 300 years before the birth of Christ, there was a very signal battle which set in motion everything else that's happened in the world that we call development. The battle was the Battle of Salamis. At that battle, 3,000 Greeks defeated hundreds of thousands of Persians. But why was that battle so important? It was not because the Greeks defeated the Persians. It was because, had the Persians defeated the Greeks, there would have been no democracy. That was the beginning of the birth and the sustenance of a democratic ideal which emerged out of noisy, argumentative city-states in the Greek peninsula, where people were allowed to oppose and argue their case without being killed. And by doing so, thousands of years later, we have the living organism of democratic institutions where you hear the other man's point of view, or the other woman's point of view, less so I know, and we then have to make a choice. Yesterday the British people made a choice as to whether I should continue to be their MEP or not. That choice underpins how the world will develop. That choice also underpins what has been going on in Sri Lanka. Whether Sri Lanka is going to be and continue to be a democratic state where all the peoples of Sri Lanka have a say in the way it is governed in its future, or whether it is going to be held to ransom by people who do not believe in democracy. This fight is happening all over the world. It is happening in India. Out of the 628 districts in India, 274 are under Naxalite threat. It is happening in Pakistan. It is happening in Afghanistan. It is not a particular Sri Lankan issue. It is a global issue, a choice as to whether we govern ourselves by the force of argument and the rule of law, or we govern ourselves by threats and terror. Sri Lanka is not a banana republic. Sri Lanka has been a functioning democracy, and probably a functioning democracy, for many, many decades. Britain achieved universal adult franchise only 6 years before Sri Lanka. We have traditions of parliamentary governance, the rule of law, going way beyond some of the member states of the European Union who now have joined the EU and who think they have the tradition and the ability to lecture Sri Lanka on democracy. This so-called ethnic conflict was actually a fight about how our country is going to become. The majority of Tamil people live in the south, and they believe in democratic values. The LTT never espoused democracy, never espoused the rule of law, never accepted what those Greeks at the Battle of Salamis 300 years before the birth of Christ had fought. Nothing changes. The human condition is thus. Whether we give people a chance to say their say in open forums and not have them killed. And you heard the Honourable Minister say earlier, the majority of the Tamil liberal leadership who believed in democracy were killed by the LTT. Why? Because they want the world and the island and themselves to be governed by dictatorship. And the people who believe